who are you in the Discord and who are you then in real life?
That's generally how I introduce myself at conferences. I'm Lollihops, also known as Andy. I think that's definitely a truer representation at this point. But yeah, so I'm Lollihops, also known as Andy, and I am the community manager, producer, and one of the co-founders of Frogland.
The conduit, the connective fiber, all the things that keep everything succinctly tied together. Frogland presents All Chill, No Shill, a podcast born out of the desire to hear more than elevator pitches. My name's Hazer, and I got a hell of a conversation for you today. Well, we're just going to have to prove that he can talk other things than tech.
That's my plan, because he's always like, oh no, like I'm not going to talk in this town hall. Like no one wants to hear from me anyways. And I'm like, that is false. Like,
oh, unequivocally 100% false.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people get super excited.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's how I actually learned everything that I do know about crypto and NFTs and everything, is because he and I have been friends for 8-9 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
I didn't realize you guys went back that far.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's basically he's been telling me that I needed to get into crypto and everything since as long as I've known him. And that's basically how it started. Is I just started he would go off on a tangent about whatever tech, whatever, and I would just try to absorb as much as I could. And it ended up working out well.
I feel like this is almost a weird one, because I feel like I do know a ton about you. What I feel like happens is Discord time, especially with you, so much has happened that it gets like this weird time compression of like, maybe that's the point to talk about. So there's clearly a insane amount of writing going on. There's an insane amount with the Toadex. There's a ton of information. We definitely, the podcast is a testament to this. We definitely are in a space where people love to say, do your own research, but then want like 25 seconds of research to do.
Yes.
to be able to completely understand. And then there's also the flip side of that, when they're like, oh yeah, here's a ton of information. And they're like, I didn't want information.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want information. Stop giving me information. You're doing too much, kind of thing. So how do you guys balance that? Or do you even try?
Yeah, it's been an attempt. I kind of went at first with the almost let it be an overload and let it be there. So that way people can that when they walk in, like, yeah, the Discord will be overwhelming because it has like 30 channels, but because it's all there and it doesn't change, or it doesn't like at least appear to change as much because the channels stay the same, it's a little bit easier to kind of like, in my brain, I would like check out one channel and just kind of go down the list until I got like done for the day and absorbing new information. And then I would come back like maybe a couple days later and like start at wherever I ended the previous time.
Yeah.
But we were starting to get feedback that wasn't working so well for a lot of people. Like it came in and they thought it was overwhelming or messy, or that they had no idea where to start. So
I loved our beautiful shit show. Our deep, ridiculously deep.
Yes.
My nostalgia to it is probably like more akin to like in NFT years, nostalgia for the 90s.
Yes.
But yeah, I loved that first like 6 months of being in the Discord. What's been your favorite times? Like, has there been like any particular events, any particular stuff?
Reveal day, and it was for the frogs, especially in Discord, was absolutely wild. Like that was where I really started to understand, because I never understood why people kind of wanted to follow like the hype train a little bit. But then being in our Discord at like 3 a.m. my time, watching like the Discord just blowing up and not being able to like literally read responses as they're coming by, I'm like, oh, okay, like this is what people follow. Like this is the endorphin rush.
Yeah.
So there was that. But then I don't know. I'll say that I enjoyed being able to puppeteer like the map quest with all
Yeah.
the bot commands for the Salamanders. Like that was super fun. But I don't know if either of those necessarily stand out as the top, because I think that it's almost more when I get to interact with someone, either someone new or someone who's been there and has been very quiet. And when I get to kind of have that first, like I'm there at the right time when they ask a question and I'm like, like I can answer that. Like my mods aren't here, I can answer it first. And and then I feel like from that type of experience, I usually get a really good response from whoever I'm talking to. Like not always, but like Bullish is actually my favorite example for this, because he's been there since, I mean, mint or pre-mint. I mean, he's
Oh
been
yeah,
there.
I was gonna say I think Bullish. I mean I think of Bullish as a fixture.
Yes, definitely. But he was also like, I'm pretty sure I was the one who gave him his nickname back at the beginning of the Discord, whatever that was. But then I think that was, for the most part, like the last I really interacted with him. Like I knew he was there because I saw him around in gaming, but I never really got a chance to really like talk or chat with him very much. And
Mm.
I mean, the gamers are a very important part of what we're building, because we not only have to have someone that's going to be able to test all of the mechanics that we throw at them, but they also tend to be, at least from what I've seen so far, they tend to be a much quieter subsection of people. And so then one day I think it was maybe during a town hall, or we were just chatting in the Discord, and he kind of popped up and he was like, yeah, I've been really, really shy, really not sure about wanting to try the FRP. And we got him to try it and he did one and he was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And from that point forward, he got super supportive, very vocal. I mean, he's in there now all the time in town halls, like writing notes and live and gen chat, and is usually one of the first mods greeting new people. And that's the kind of experience that I like being able to cultivate, where like whether it's a brand new person walking in for the first time, or whether it's someone who's been around but maybe didn't have that personal connection yet, being
Hmm.
able to create that and get someone to uh, experience the dream and become a true believer, as Bugs would say.
Well, and that's the wild thing too, is I feel like when you guys have a chance to talk with people, either one-on-one or just like even in a small group, it's
Yeah,
just crazy because it's like instant.
yeah.
It's yeah. I wish there was a way to replicate that. I'm like, we need about 50 clones of you. I think people probably feel like there's already 50 clones of you. I don't know that there's a whole lot of community developers that have probably had their entire community band together and say, you need to take a day off. We don't want to kill you.
Yep. That was another one. That was a very, very sweet moment for sure.
So I feel like that probably we enjoy talking about passions here.
Yeah.
Why do you love it so much?
On the little bit more personal side, it's like it's something that works really well for me, because like the ADHD and OCD tendencies, like I can like clearing out, like making sure I read all the messages in the Discord every day is something that not only helps me like quiet the hornets,
Oh yeah.
but but it's also really good then, because it gives me a really good feel about what's actually happening in the community. And it keeps that sense very accurate, at least I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then like when I can make little bits of magic happen for people, like when Bullish's first chicken died, and then we had Dee Dee's art of like the graveyard for the chickens. That was pretty fun. And and so that's kind of my goal, is like anything that I see in the Discord, any little like inside jokes that people have between like two or three people, or even just a thing that happened in the Discord and it was 3 or 4 a.m. and there was no one around to see it, but like I saw it and I'm going to bring it back somewhere, somehow, some way. There's like constant building of Easter eggs and like all the little moments of magic that like we got to be adults, and we thought weren't there anymore.
Right. What kind of skill, like what is being in your position brought as far as the learning challenges? Like not necessarily the things that have come up and have been, because I haven't seen anything that's been too hard for you to handle. So
Thank
yeah.
you. So it's been interesting because I don't want to say because the project has demanded content, but because of ideas that we or I or the community or whoever has, um, that end up needing content. They need copy, and they need words, and they need fill, and they need some sort of direction in the story. Like the map quest is a great example of that, actually, because like like 30 minutes before town hall, Anthony or Shrimp was like, well, we can't just like give them a map. Why don't we like tear it up and make them go and hunt for it? So that was like a very last minute decision, which is why it definitely was a little bit messy in how it was put together. But it was something that I still had a lot of fun with, and I think a lot of the community did too. And because we were trying to hide all these, we hit them first just in like tweets and in Instagram posts, but that didn't get, it wasn't nearly as fun, and it also, we didn't see people finding those nearly as quickly or as easily, even as easily, I think. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to make an assumption that it was Jack the Ribbit who tried to do a bot command first. And I was like, wow, that's a great idea. And and then kind of went from there. And that was such a hit, both with the co-creation side of it, because I would be sitting there in the Discord just like watching all these options and all these like bot commands that could work go past, and I'll be like, oh my God, like that's a great one. And so then I'd like, I think like when map and like teamwork makes the dream work. And I was like, oh yeah, we definitely need to have like map pieces come up from that. And but I also couldn't just have a command just spit out a map piece, because that seemed like cheating.
Too easy. You needed to layer on the challenges for yourself.
Exactly. And I figured too. I kind of thought that it was just going to be that we were going to do like a handful of those. Like I thought we would maybe have like 5 or 10 bot commands that would spit out pieces, and that I would probably make like a decoy like set of 5 or 10 either, which at that point I'd already done like the 200 or whatever for the fortune teller. I was like, oh, I can do that. That'll be fine. And then like 85 commands later, we finally got to the full thing out in the open. But yeah, that all kind of started to flow a lot more easily kind of as I got into it and as I started creating and working on it. And that's actually a very good lead into our next Medium article, because the Medium article was, I guess, probably by the time you guys see this, it'll already be out. But it started out as we've been kind of trying to alternate between tech pieces and then more of like an artistic, emotional, philosophical piece. Which after our previous manifesto, it was time for a tech piece. And we got done. We spent probably, I think Gamma Bunta spent 2 or 3 days getting all the tech details in there. And then I spent probably 8 hours on it. And then Bugs and I spent another like 10 hours finishing it up, getting it to read really well and getting it all set up. And then Froggy Digital went to go and have his approval pass over it. And he just said it read too technical and it was a little too dense. And he said, that's not what we're making in Frogland. It's not what we're trying to pull people in. We're not trying to pull them in with how maybe like, and it sounds a little cocky, but like how intelligent our team is, or like how clever they are with all the tech stuff that they're doing. Like we need to pull them in with story, because we're making an art project. Like we are. And so we were like, okay, scrap all that. Let's see what else we can have happen. And so I spent yesterday writing the technical details into a noir detective interrogation. And kind of
you're like, we can't handle tech details. We have to just like sandwich them, wrap them in things, and deliver them on a little platter.
Exactly. So
I do look, so I don't know where I fall into any of the camps, because I'll find on some days I'm like really interested in the technical side. Some other days I'll be like in the creative side. And that's been a cool thing, is I've been able to pop around and everything. Honestly, it blows my mind that you've been able to like transition from your past career into this space, and then be able to like talk on panels with like the precision that you do. And yeah, I mean, it honestly, it stuns me every day that you guys are as much on the same page as it feels like when you talk in a group setting.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely been what's allowed us to do as much as we have, and to work as well together, is because we are, for what each of the rest of the six of them do, like they are straight up experts in what they do, which has been a little interesting for me, because especially as like community manager, I'm like, okay, expert, horse trainer, um, which has been a little special to kind of for me to get over in my own head. But it's been really cool, because everyone is so well versed in what they do, that as long as I'm there and I'm in the room and I'm listening, then I can pick up enough about what's going on, that at least when I hear the community ask the same questions that I literally just asked a shrimp like 3 days ago, then I
Hmm.
have that information to be able to give it back in really short order. And I think that has been what allows us to work so well together, because if I'm generally on like 95 to 98% of the calls, and I usually don't even have to say anything. Usually I'm just
Hmm.
hanging out, mic off, just listening. But because I get to do that, then when Snoop is on a call and Shrimp was doing something else, then I can kind of help that crossover and help all the lines connect. So everyone ends up having the same information, or at least what they need to know about the same information, to be able to still work together, and work together, but not even need to be in the same location, or not even need to. I mean, we always catch up at least once a day, but we can
Hmm.
manage with like a 30-minute stand-up meeting, rather than needing to be like on a voice call or in the same room for 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Oh, absolutely. It's the
Yeah.
connective tissue.
Yeah. Yes. That's a great.
If we didn't have you, we would just be a bunch of arms and legs flailing around and heads rolling around on the floor.
That's a great visual. Yes. Bugs always says glue, but I like the connective tissue a lot better.
Is that because there's a horse connotation to glue?
Actually, no. I just like that visual a lot better, because that I could totally see like Frog Digital's head like going past, and like one of Bug's arms like writing something and like drawing a frog as it goes by. So it's like it's it's a good visual.
I have a random alarm on my phone that I don't know how I set it. I probably asked the assistant and it messed up. It goes
Okay.
off at 11:10 every day, and
Oh,
I just have never turned it off,
okay.
because it always goes off at a weird random point. So I like turn it off and then I forget it exists till the next day. Yeah, so there's probably a similarity there. Like, you are a conduit between, the boss and everybody in
Yeah.
general. And it's a challenging space to be in too, because there's a lot of like conflicting, or like uh on the one hand, like, you have to care about the people of all types asking for all different things, but you also have to be able to balance and almost advocate for them to somebody that is above you, which is
Yeah.
really like a high risk role. It's really um like, I think advocacy is probably one of the hardest things to like have, especially in like a structured group. So the fact that you do that so well and stand up for the people of the community, I can only imagine how uncomfortable that is. Like, I'm not saying that they make it uncomfortable, but just like as a
Yeah.
human, like, we're not wired to like step up and stand out,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So
That's also a fascinating observation, and especially they use that word because advocacy is what, like, that was what my mentor in college, who is, I mean, I strive to make her proud every day, in horses or not. And she's always said that if we were going to be a good trainer or a good teacher, whether that was to a student or to a horse, we had to be the best advocate for whoever was being the quietest. And generally that's the horse. And so we have to listen to the horse and listen to all of everything that they're telling us with their body language and their behavior that they can't say with English. And they said, and she's told us that sometimes, which was true, you get students, whether it was their parents pushing them to do something they didn't want to, or they were pushing themselves to do something that maybe they didn't want to do because of whatever in the past. And even being able to stand up to the students for themselves. That's I think is probably the most succinct way to say that my crossover from horse training to this has gone advocacy, I think is the right word for it.
Frogland presents All Chill, No Shill, a podcast born out of the desire to hear more than elevator pitches.